Today is the 23rd day of Tammuz, the 29th of July. We're in the beginning of chapter 11. So we saw yesterday, they said, still in the end, after all the cheshbonis, all the different reckonings, in the end, why don't we talk to Hashem himself? So he says, we do. When do we do that? When do we address Hashem before the Tzimtzum, before the creation of the world, before any kind of limitation on the divine revelation happened? That's when we say Kriyas Shema. Let's just start it again. ולהבין ביאור הדברים, הנה יש להקדים עניין הקריאת שמע שלפני 18 מהו. Why is it that they put the Kriyas Shema before 18? We said there's a whole discussion in the Gemara, where should it be? In any case, in the end, we say it before 18. והנה קריאת שמע היא הקדמה ל-18, כי ב-18 הכוונה בהמשכת אור אינסוף בספירות, ומהם למטה כדילל. Because in 18 we have all these kavanot, all these intentions of how to bring the infinite revelation down into the sfirot, to limit it. אמנם בקריאת שמע, בפסוק ראשון שמע ישראל, in the first verse of the Shema, and this is only in the first verse, שמע ישראל השם אלוקינו השם אחד, שהוא הנקרא קבלת עול מלכות שמיים בגמרא, which the Talmud calls the taking on the yoke of heaven. העניין הוא להמשיך הערה ממקור הדקולה. There the point is to address and to bring down the source of everything. דהיינו מבחינת עצמות האור אינסוף. The essence, the infinite light, the infinite revelation in and of itself. כמו שהוא בעצמותו. למעלה מעלה מהתלבשותו מתלבשות הערתו שב10 ספירות. Far beyond, meaning above, before it comes down, it encloses itself in what we call שמבחינת הערת הקו לבד, into the ray of infinite light. It's called a ray of infinite light, but it's a ray already. It's just it's a sliver of the infinite light, the infinite revelation. Light is always a revelation of Hashem. שהקו עצמו מלובש באק, והערתו מלובש ב10 ספירות דאצילות. Because this ray of light, this ray of infinite light, it already is the soul of primordial man, of the partzuf called Ak, Adam Kadmon, and its resonance, its radiance of Ak, of the primordial man, is what enclosed within the 10 sfirot of Atzilut. Moshe Mvu'ar, Moshe Katav Mori V'Rabi, as my teacher, he recalls him Mori V'Rabi, but he means his grandfather. The Alter Rebbe wrote in the 20th epistle, B'Igeret HaKodesh al Pasuk Yu V'Chayoi, in the Tanya. Aval b'Kriyat Shema, but in Kriyat Shema, kavanatenu להמשיך הערה חדשה ממקור הדקולה ממש. There we're bringing down a new revelation from the essence of everything, from the source of everything. ואחר שכבר נמשך הערה זו בכלל על ידי קריאת שמע, אנו ממשיכים גילויה בפרטות בכל 10 ספירות, על ידי חי ברכן ד-18. And once this new revelation has come down, the new revelation of the essence of the infinite revelation of Hashem, then we begin to put it into vessels, and the vessels are the 10 sfirot, and we do this through the benedictions, through the blessings of 18, of the Amida. ומשם נמשך אחר כך למטה להיות רופא חולים ומברך השנים. And then from there it comes down into the particular blessings that we say. And why does he pick these two? These two, that he heals the sick and he gives parnasa. Mevarech hashanim is really, he blesses the years, but it's the bracha of parnasa. Those two are the topic of a lot of intense maimarim, especially in Umayan. There's a maimar, a long hemshech from the Rebbe Rashab called Umayan. And there he dedicates, I think, 6 or 7 chapters to discussing what it means to say what you need to do when you say these blessings. He says particularly regarding these two, because they're a topic in the Gemara, they're a topic in the Talmud. Right. In the end, this is the two things that the person needs. He needs health and he needs parnasa. And by these, there's a necessity of actually picturing mamish, bringing it down, because again, this is where the Talmud deals with this question altogether. Just about these two benedictions, these two blessings, that a person has to have in mind exactly what he wants should happen. It's bringing it down. It's called mamash, bringing it down into the limited reality that we have before us. And this is how the sages who organized the prayer for us, the Shacharis prayer, the way they organized it for us, this is how they interpreted. This was the main way that they interpreted the saying of the Sifrei, the halachic medrash, Elav velo lemidtav, to him and not to his measures. To him is Kriyas Shema, the first pasuk of Kriyas Shema. To his measures is after Kriyas Shema. דהיינו אליו ממש, והוא מהותו ועצמותו יתברך שלמעלה גם כן מערתו מלובשת באין סוף. To him means to his essence, as it is before he enclosed himself within the 10 sfirot. והיינו בקריאת שמע, and this happens in קריאת שמע, שאז כוונתנו להמשיך הערה משם ממש. And that's where we have this intent to bring new radiance, meaning a new revelation from Hashem every single day. So we do this every single day. By the way, this explains the whole issue of the bracha that we say on Yotzer Or. So he creates light. What do we mean by he creates light? The blessings before Kriyat Shema, they don't seem to be connected. In fact, halachically, they're not connected. Halachically, if a person didn't say Kriyat Shema in the morning, he can still say the blessings anytime he wants during the day. There's no connection. That's what the halacha in the end paskins. But it's kind of strange. Why would you put these blessings before Kriyat Shema? You even call them the blessings of Kriyat Shema. In the Talmud, they're not exactly called the blessings of Kriyat Shema, but that's what they're called, like in every siddur that you open up. So, what are these blessings? They're all about light. Right? That he creates light, that he forms light, that he does. Oh, what's that got to do with anything? How's that related to Kriyat Shema? But when you understand this explanation, you understand why we're talking about light, because light is revelation. So what are we saying? We're saying that every day when Hashem renews the light, what we're coming and we're saying is that there's an opportunity to bring down from the essence of Hashem's revelation, before the tzimtzum, before everything, there's an opportunity to bring something new down. And so all these blessings that we say, they're really about revealing Hashem's light. Without the Chassidus, it's like, again, they're not connected. Okay, I'm talking about light, about creation, about light that we talk about there, that we talk about the sun and the moon. They're all symbols. They're all parables for what we mean by light. By light, we mean revelation. And revelation is much wider than just the sun and the moon, obviously. But it's this feeling that, like the sun and the moon, they rise, the sun rises every day. Every day you have an opportunity to bring something new into the world. And that we call that's a tosifet. It's an addition to what God created when He created the reality. Those were the 6 days of creation. They sustain reality. Reality is always on a firm footing because of the 6 days of creation. But then every day subsequently, it depends on us, on what we do to bring down a additional revelation of Hashem. וביאור הדברים, הנה מבואר בפרי עץ חיים, שיש בכל יום ממש מעין ראש השנה. And to explain this more deeply, in the Eitz Chaim is a collection of all the Arizal's teachings on prayer. And it follows the yearly cycle. It's not just about prayer, it's about also the other things that we do during the yearly cycle, but it's mostly focused on prayers because it's about kavanot, and all the kavanot, all the intentions are usually focused in the Arizal in the end on prayer. So he says in the Pri Etz Chaim, sheyesh b'chol yom mamash me'en Rosh Hashanah. Every day we have something, we have a glimmer of Rosh Hashanah, the first day of the year. And it doesn't just mean the first day of the year for us, it means the first day when man was created. That too. There's a glimmer in every single day of that reality that started when Adam was created. דהיינו, כשם שבראש השנה הוא חזרת הדברים לקדמותן, just as in Rosh Hashanah we complete a cycle and everything returns to its primordial state, ומשם נמשך מחדש בניין זון, and then the whole process of the first 10 days of the year is the process that in the Bible is just described in Genesis, is just described in a couple of verses, that God took man and he split him into two, and then he made them each one into a separate entity. So in Kabbalah, this all means that this is the splitting of Zeir Anpin from Nukva. This is the splitting of the small countenance, Zeir Anpin, meaning the emotive faculties of the man, and the feminine counterpart. And they're split during the first 10 days of the year. The reason that the first 2 days are Rosh Hashanah is explained there. There's a whole cheshbon. We're not going to get into it. At least I don't remember that he gets into it. And then, once they're formed on Yom Kippur is the 10th day, they're formed, and then we begin their courting process, meaning that they begin to couple, they begin to unify. And this starts on the day after Yom Kippur, and it ends on Shmini Atzeret, on the last day of Sukkot. So we have something of this every day, of the splitting and then rebuilding, and they give birth, as it were. They form all the energy that we have in our world. What do we mean by energy in the world? Not what Hashem did to sustain the world. That we said that's permanent. But all the additions, all the additional energy that comes into the world comes through human effort. And so there's a beginning of human effort, as it were. All the conditions needed for human effort to begin every single day. That's what happens in the beginning of the year. Shemekor chayut olamot, that they are what we call the additional energy that goes into the world. He doesn't say here the word additional. I'm adding it from myself, but that's what he means. Kach mamash yesh b'chol yom derech prat v'hu inyan mitzvat kriyat shema v'shmoneh esrei. And so in Eitz Chaim, he explains that every day, when do we experience this? We experience it during Kriyat Shema and Shmoneh Esrei. And again, we said Kriyat Shema is like the reality before there's anything at all. And then Shmoneh Esrei is like Zun. What? Not the brachos. The first verse. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. והנה ידוע שבראש השנה הוא בתחילה הסתלקות ועליות החיות עד המקור הראשון הוא האור אינסוף בעצמותו ומהותו ממש, ואחר כך חוזר ונמשך משם הערה וחיות חדש ממש להיות בניין 10 ספירות מחדש באורות וכלים. So we know that the same process that we just described happens on Rosh Hashanah, that first, the night before Rosh Hashanah, this is what the Alter Rebbe discusses in the Tanya, and everybody knows, that he says before we blow the shofar in the morning of Rosh Hashanah, all the life force that was in the previous year is gone. It goes back to its source. It's finished. It's done what it can do. So then there's a famous question. So if all the life force is gone, so how does the world? How does the world sustain itself? So he explains that the world sustains itself because we're talking about the additional life force. We're not talking about what sustains the world. What sustains the world doesn't go back. What he's talking about is exactly this: the Zun, the new male, masculine, and feminine that came down, and now add more life force into the world. So this all goes back to its source at night. This happens every day. At night, everything goes back to its source. And the sign is very simple, that there's really no mitzvot that we do at night. Right? There's no mitzvot really. What do we do at night? The only mitzvah that we really do at night is Talmud Torah. And that, it says that Talmud Torah is above reality entirely. It's not dependent, and it's not part of the regular daily cycle. But when we talk about what mitzvot we have at night, you don't give it. That's why by the Arizal you don't give it tzedakah at night.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't mean that a person shouldn't give it tzedakah. It just says that lechatchila, if you can give it during the day, give it during the day. Okay? Because the whole nighttime is what we call ve'emunatcha baleilot. The whole nighttime is devoted to pure faith. And pure faith is like Kriyat Shema. It's me and Hashem directly. There's no world also, because today we have light. So there's something going on already. Okay? The fact that we have light during the night is already a sign that something's changed. It's not exactly the way it was 500 years ago. So in the same way that we say that sun and the moon are symbols of Hashem's revelation, so electricity is also a certain symbol of Hashem's revelation. The fact that we can use it 24 hours a day, so that's already, now, there's more advanced forms of energy that we haven't discovered yet, but even the fact that we've discovered this and we're using it is already a sign that things are changing. But let's continue. And then in the morning, you get this new life force, and this rebuilds, and that's how all the kavanot of the Ariya are built, all these intentions. This is how they're organized. That you're rebuilding the world, as it were. But you're not rebuilding the world, the reality. The reality is sustained anyway. What you're rebuilding is the spiritual world, the world that comes out of the mitzvot. Va'ikar liot binyan hanukva. And the main point of it all is the construction of what we call the feminine counterpart. Shehi mekor chayut olamot hanifradim, because it gives life to separate creation. What do we mean by separate? That things can feel that they are autonomous, that they have free will. Without the feminine, there's no free will in the world. That's basically what this means. In other words, all the free will in the world comes from the feminine. What's the feminine? The feminine is many things. The first and foremost thing that the feminine is Eretz Yisrael, is the land of Israel. The second most important thing within the land of Israel, and there are 10 levels of this within the land of Israel, is the Beis HaMikdash. The Beit HaMikdash, that's why the Rambam, when he writes the laws of building the Beit HaMikdash and of and all the vessels in the Beit HaMikdash and so on, he doesn't call it the laws of Beit HaMikdash. He calls it the laws of Beit HaBchira, the laws of the house of choice. Why choice? Because this is where free choice, free will comes from. All free will comes from that point in the universe, because that's where the feminine is constructed. So and then after the feminine is constructed, again, in Rosh Hashanah, what it means is that it has to have 10 sfirot, and we do that every day in our prayer. The prayer is built in such a way, according to the Rizal, and then once it's built, then we bring a drop of semen, as it were, a drop like how do you say zera? A seed into the feminine to fertilize it. And the rest we'll see B'ezrat Hashem tomorrow.